Hello, hello, everybody, and welcome back to Tell Me Why You're Special. You guys already know what this is. You already know what I'm doing here, and this is the arena. I'm not here for the fluff. I'm not here for the highlight reel. No carefully pretty packaged version of someone's success story. We go to the truth because the truth is the only thing that's actually going to help anybody step into their full potential. Today's guest, and I'm going to keep the intro short on purpose because he deserves to tell his own story, is someone who has lived multiple lifetimes inside of one. And I mean that in the best and hardest possible way. He's built things most people only dream about. He has lost things most people couldn't survive losing. And the thing that I can say probably makes him special is that he keeps going anyway. So, in the hot seat today is Roy. Welcome to Tell Me Why You're Special.
Thank you very much for having me. Looking forward to the conversation.
Fabulous. So, usually my first question for guests is to give me your elevator pitch. If you had 30 seconds to tell people who you are and what you do.
I'm a podcast coach. I've got 8 podcasts and I help people do a podcast tour. And I've also got a virtual assistance business.
Nice. So you're all things internet and I mean 8 podcasts.
Hmm.
I have 4 and I'm overwhelmed. So that's amazing.
Well, I've 2 launched this week, so it was 6 for a long time, and I've added 2, but I systemize everything. So once you start to systemize it in, then it becomes easier. Because I know even sometimes that the fact that you have 4 is brilliant. Because a lot of times I hear people, I've 1, and they go, it's too much, and they after 3 episodes or 10 episodes, they quit.
They quit.
So yeah, having 4 is great.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna say because of my own experience, podcasting is not for the faint of heart, no matter what. I think it definitely takes a special person to really stick through it. And I absolutely understand. I understand why people quit. I don't encourage it, but I totally get it. There's days where I'm just like, wow, that really happened. Wow. But it's amazing. You started making money as a kid, like super young. Most kids are playing. So what are you doing and where did that come from?
I started at 9 and I started washing cars, delivering leaflets, even doing some gardening. And then at 11, I got a newspaper round and I did that until I was in college and basically went around the neighborhoods and asked if they want the paper and just kept doing that with the money from that. At 14, bought a lawnmower and I was going around cutting grass. I remember it. I didn't know I get my first motorbike when I was 17, 18, and then started seeing, hey, I can buy a motorbike, clean it up a bit, and then sell it. So I was doing that for a while. And then I studied construction economics and management and kind of then went into the business sector for somebody else for 2 companies for 12, 13 years. And even during that time, I kind of created with another guy an internet business doing website design. And after that, then I just like I'm in Poland. I moved 19 years ago, and I've never worked for anybody since.
Nice. 19 years of being your own boss. That's pretty amazing because the companies that you were founding, I mean, you've been across multiple countries, right? So walk me through the turning point, like maybe not necessarily even the first win, but the moment where you realize like this is who you are. It's not just something that you're doing.
I think it was when with the properties. So I got syndicates together, and I raised a good few million, and I bought commercial property, which I invested myself. I had an apartment block that it was a greenfield site that we built 30 apartments, housing projects, renovated, and I had 14 people on my books. And at one stage, it was like, all right, this is building, this is going well. I'm enjoying this. That's when I thought, right, I'm in control here, as opposed to I made millions for some of the companies. And, I was on a kind of bonus as well. And then they started cheating me on the bonuses. And I was like, and that's
Oh,
something I would never, yeah. And I've talked to a lot of people, lots of companies do that, which is the dumbest thing ever. Because
yeah,
if I'm making you more profit than you expected, and you give me, say, 5% of it, you
right.
should be doubling it, going, wow, keep going. But for some reason, they try to squeeze it away as if it feels bad giving it to somebody. So, what I would say to like any entrepreneur that's working for somebody, make sure you get it in writing exactly how it's
Yeah.
done because everyone, they'll be kind of, get the whip out and get you go away and let you do everything, work weekends, work, 12, 16 hours. But when it comes time to pay, then they kind of turn their back and they forget all the hard work. So
Yeah.
make sure you have everything. Don't do it on a handshake. Everything in writing.
No, that's some great advice. And also, I mean, just get out of working for somebody else. That helps a lot. Because at the end of the day, the
Yeah.
only person you can count on and trust, I think, the most is going to be you anyway. So people are going to use you as far as you will let them. So Roy, you describe yourself as having been very shy, and now you're someone who has competed in speaking at the highest levels. So I want to know, and I want my audience to know about the version of Roy that was afraid, because I think that version is more important than most people realize. Like, who was that guy?
When I was younger, I wouldn't go into the shop. I get my friend to go into the shop. And because I reflect on everything, I think it was like selective because I was able to go around selling newspapers, ask people did they want grass. But speaking are just uncomfortable situations for when I was 18. Like I know in the States it's 21. In
Yeah.
Ireland, 18, you can start drinking. I wouldn't go up to the bar. I was terrified of it. My friend, when it was my round, he'd go up and get it, or the other guys. And even when I was running multi-million pound jobs with the companies that I was doing. And the part I hated was when, you decline. There could be 20 people at a meeting, architect, builders,
Yeah.
and my voice would just go. I just terrified of it. So I decided then, yeah, I need to overcome. I was late to the game. I was like 45 when I really said I'm going to get over this and join Toastmasters. And even to let you know the shyness, I had to get people to come with me, my friends to come with me to the Toastmasters.
Yeah.
And I said, this is great. And they said, we don't have time for it. And I wouldn't go back. And the only reason I joined was a new club opened a month or 2 months later. And I said, all right, this new, everyone's going to be new. I went there. Will you sign up? Yeah. Will you do a speech next week? Yeah. And I went all in, then joined the other club, formed my own club, and became a coach of a Finnish club and just entered all competitions, got into the final of 5 countries, did open TEDx, did open comedy, and just I kind of realized I told myself a story. I'm shy. And I changed the story. So, what story are you telling yourself? Because you can change anything. If I can go from that level of shyness to, I mean, I've done, I don't know, nearly 2,000 podcasts, my own stuff and maybe guesting on. I've done about 200 live, and it's no bother to me.
Right.
And it just shows that you can change anything. Just change the script.
And I think choosing the story that you guys are going to believe is super important if you're catching that from what he's saying. But also I think it's important to understand that, it takes practice. Like it took doing it one time and saying, "Okay, I can still do this," and you keep going back. It's not like you showed up the first time and got the awards. It was you showing up multiple times in uncomfortable situations, and I think that's incredible.
And I think just for maybe the listeners as well, a lot of times parents do everything for their kids.
Yeah.
And that's something I didn't do with my kids. It was like if you're in a restaurant, they want ketchup, you go up and ask it. If you
Yeah.
want to buy something, here's the money, go up and ask it. And you don't realize they get comfortable and competent in doing things like that. But what happens a lot of times, the parents are doing everything from, and then they left them off. And then they're wondering why my child is shy, or they're kind of reinforcing it. Oh, he's shy, she's shy. And they keep reinforcing it. So what does the child think? They're shy.
Yeah.
So make sure that you're supporting your kids instead of actually, pushing them down.
Right. I love that. And I do have quite a few moms that listen. So I hope that kind of hits home for you guys. So I want to shift gears a little bit and I want to talk about the fail. Okay. Because you went from multiple properties, strong bank balance, a life that looks like the dream. And you kind of told us about that, the things that you were doing. You went from all of that to losing everything, including your home. And so take us to the bottom. Like, what does that actually feel like? And what was the biggest lesson takeaway from this moment? I mean, this happens to anybody else, they're out for the count. So, what got you up again?
Well, I suppose to give people the context of what happened, I had
Yeah.
lots of syndicates that I was doing. And when the crash happened in the States, it took a bit longer to kind of come across. And the investors that I had started getting in trouble, and they were big boys. Like some of them were worth 10 million, 20 million euro. They had lots of assets. And I basically put more money, say, into the commercial because we had got an 80% mortgage on that. I put more money into it and I said, look, I'll charge you 10% interest and I'll increase my share if you don't get it. And they got wiped out. And eventually it started tumbling down for me. And usually when you're in a limited liability company, because I had a load of limited liability companies, they're all separate entities. You just kind of go, all right, I've lost that, let's go again. And nobody told me, solicitor or accountants, that when you're the president of the company, you're personally liable. So I was liable for about $5 million.
Wow.
And yeah, and you ask, how did I? It was hard. I mean, there was times it was like, how did this happen? I didn't do anything dodgy. I wasn't sneaky and
Right.
tricky. And with my properties in Ireland, like they just came in, changed the locks. They just sold everything. They didn't. And learning later, because from my journey, I mean, I'll kind of tell you how I overcame it, because nobody realize what this is like till they happen. And there's millions of people, and even now there's a lot, like energy has gone through the roof. It's like people are barely, like I heard in Ireland, so every country is different. I'm living in Bone, but I'm Irish, but I heard that 300,000 people are behind on their electricity bill.
Wow.
Like we have a population of 5 million. So that's, if that's 300 accounts, that's over a million because there's usually like four to a household. So that just shows the level that we're at. And there could be another kind of financial wipeout. And it's all orchestrated. Everything is orchestrated. But what I would say is there's a few things you can do and how I overcame it. One is I got into a six-phase meditation and I then created my own version. And it was because you're getting attacked, like credit card companies, they just ring you. I don't know how they're still allowed. They ring you and abuse you. Banks ring you and
Yeah.
they as if like you're just they've emptied your account. My accounts were showing like -1 was like I have it still on the thing. It was like I took screenshots of it. It was like minus over 600,000 of just one account alone. And you're looking at an account and minus is something that you could never think is even possible.
Right.
And like what I did is you're thinking of the negative and you're thinking of all the bad. But what I did is I said, okay, what am I grateful for? I was grateful that I was able to cuddle my child. I was grateful my parents were behind me. They knew I didn't do anything bad. I was grateful I had food in my belly, I had a roof over my head. So I started attracting that thing instead of thinking of the negative. And the next one was the act of forgiveness. And this can happen in anything, whether a business relationship, whether a partner, anything. With me, there was a load of because there was even construction companies that done stuff and there was just so many. I had over 100 court cases and there was a lot of anger kind of dealing with this saying, hey, if he had paid me, people that cheated, like one person on the commercial, he tapped into the actual sprinkler, or not the sprinkler set, the hydrant, and he was getting all his water from there, but he had a fish thing. So like, and we were paying, we couldn't figure out, we thought there was a leak or something, and just having anger for all these different people. I said, all right, I have to start forgiving these people. So some were easy, there were smaller ones, but some are like big numbers. And how I did it is I brought him back to the child. I said, if you see a baby, you just, the baby grabs your finger, you look at the baby, it's just the most beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And they were born like that. And it was external circumstances made them who they were. So it was either abusive parents, alcoholic parents, or parents even working so hard, they took their eye off the ball. They were just trying to do the best for their kids. Kids start hanging around with the wrong people, go down a slippery slope. But what happened is by doing that, I forgave him. And what it does is it frees it from you. So the memory of pain is no longer in your cells. It's like, so that way you're able to move on with your life.
Yeah. I think that perspective is super special. And I think that's one of those moments that reveals something about a person that success never could. Like losing everything kind of brings you to the core of who you really are, which is someone who, in spite of, losing everything and not even figuratively, like literally everything, and then coming through with that gratitude when it's easy to see people walking around taking that for granted. And you think, man, like, when is the last time you just sat through your life and thought about how thankful you were? And the thing is, like, right now, anybody listening, you don't have to lose everything to find that part of yourself. it's an incredible thing just to wake up right now and think, okay, what can I be really thankful for? And to get that mindset, I think, before you pick up your phone during the day, before, social media tells us how to feel or how to respond or how to act. But I really do love what you did where, you picture them as children because everybody does have a story. And I think, with social media that it kind of dehumanizes people on a certain level. So for you to be able in person to just humanize them and to see like they had an origin story, stuff happened to them. I think that's amazing. I love
Yeah,
that.
and I think everyone can do that. And even if it doesn't work the first day, just keep doing it, keep doing it. And
Yeah.
because how you know is sometimes when people are telling a story, you see them breaking down, they're reliving it. And the same with a lot of therapists and everything. I actually told a person recently in a business group, we had a one-on-one call, and he said he was in therapy for years. And I told him to do this, and he says, I don't know the exact thing that happened, but it sounded like, some
Yeah.
sort of abuse from parents. And I said, you don't have to actually go back and be friends with them or get back into them.
Yeah.
Once you forgive them yourself, you
You're
can
done.
still get on with your life. It doesn't mean that you have, like, I mean, even all the people I forgive, doesn't mean that I went up and shook their hands. I'd
Yeah.
walk past them, but I forgave them.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. So, and I think that maybe if therapists and stuff like that start doing that, 'cause instead of trying to have a patient for life, where they're actually trying to heal people, because they're just reliving the moment. And you can see it anytime somebody has it in their cells. You can see them shaking, you can see them crying, you can see the emotion really traumatizing them again and again.
Yeah.
And I think that if it worked for me, it can work for anyone.
Yeah. No, I think that's incredible. And I think that's a great takeaway for you guys. Um, so I want to talk about your shows because you now have eight. You said over 2,000 episodes. I know when we were starting, you guys, I tell Roy how I don't edit. My audience knows it's a one and done. If the mistakes are there, they're there for they're solid. That's where they're going to be. Um, so I'm sure you probably were like, what am I getting myself into? Because you edit every single one of your episodes by yourself. And we know in this industry that a lot of people quit. So my first question, this is going to be a couple part question, right? My first question is what is actually driving you? Because this level of output to have that many shows, this it's not just driven by discipline alone. So what is truly underneath that part of you for eight podcasts?
It's all connected with my journey. So my first one is the speaking podcast. I don't want anyone to go through what I did. So I'm sharing all different tips on how to overcome it, as well as showing where I was. And there's a common thing with a lot of people is a lot of them, it happens from school. You're standing up in school and you're talking, and the class is laughing at you because you're learning new words. The
Yeah.
teachers, taking the piss out of you as well. And it's like, it's a bad experience which you bring through it. So it was always that show was kind of to help people with that. It's evolved with kind of business owners and authors and things like that, but there's still times people come in. Meditation. There was different meditations I was listening to. Some disappeared and some then became paid. When you're on your knees, you don't pay for things like that. So I said there's going to be meditation free always.
Nice.
And I have interviews, but I've got meditations from 1 minute to 2 hours because people say I don't have time. Hey, there's a meditation for a minute. And that was that. The Polish one it's learn Polish, and it's kind of, I think the education system is like learn grammar, learn this. But at the end of the day, what's the most important thing? If you go to Spain or go anywhere, have a conversation. And I broke it down. It like now we have longer episodes, we're more advanced because we're into, nearly 600 episodes. But at the start, it was like if you go to the garage, about changing your tire and doing different, if you go out for a doctor, a dentist, all things that you would use and need. And I mean, it's got over 4 million downloads with both the audio and the video and stuff. And basically, I never how I made a little mistake on that one. I
Yeah.
never thought it'd be that successful. I just took a kind of, I set up the tripod and took a picture, and it was ahead of BBC languages, ahead of Duolingo and everything. And that's the screenshot I have because it was number one. Yeah, and it goes to number one in a lot of different places. But eventually, then I got a professional picture. The Awakening is the one exposing fraud and corruption, but with solutions. And I talk about a lot of things. I'm not afraid to say anything. I'll say my thoughts on it. And I've learned from even guests. that, oh, I didn't know that. I'll go away and I'll read books and I'll study. And then the crypto was, I saw a lot of fraud on that. You'd hear of rug
Yeah.
pulls and scams.
Hmm.
And even though it's kind of, you could put it in, I said I'd hurt my awakening if they're not into blockchain. So that's why I created that. And it was like, I had read books on crypto and I was like, I don't really get it. So I was kind of bringing on the experts to learn about it. But even at the same time, I thought I just had beginners listening. I had people that were big into crypto going, I didn't think of that. So the stuff that I was asking was kind of ahead of even experienced blockchain people. And the podfather then is helping podcasters stay in the game or start. And I started off thinking I just do little shorts myself because I've got a lot of knowledge. And then I was like, I might as well get on. And even, I mean, I think 60 episodes released. I've a lot in the pipeline. Every single person brings something to the table. And
Yeah.
I'm constantly learning, which allows me then to share. And the new one is the smart entrepreneur show. And the other one, and this is a passionate one for me as well, and it's based on my whole journey. It's the Sovereign Man podcast, and that just launched this week as well. But I had a lot of guests on sovereignty, and because I've had so many court cases, and I've been in court in the High Court in Ireland, I was like,
Yeah.
they're fraudulent. Everything I'm seeing is fraudulent. I saw so much done to me that was wrong. Even now, when I was investigating, the bank was overcharging interest on the three properties I had.
Yeah.
They never gave me information. They were caught for that. They were fined for that. They sold my three properties without telling me where they were sold.
Wow.
So my properties were probably in the positive instead of the negative.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people kind of fighting. So I'm going, all right, can people, how governments and cities have so much control over us? And I realize, okay, I'm free and I have done so much myself. Like, because there's some people doing this and they're going, okay, we're going to charge you so much, but they won't take responsibility.
Yeah.
And there's others saying, oh, join our group. And because you're your group, you become sovereign or you get this diplomatic passport and all this kind of thing. And the thing is, it's like going back to the child. When you're born free,
Yeah.
nobody has control over you.
Right.
You were born free. Why does the government think they have control over you? And I started using what I learned with letters. So they were coming after, they constantly, I had so many, like for years, up to a few years ago. And even one, we had a tenement building. And when we sold it, they came after us and they said, 8 grand for refuse. I said, I never got a bill off you. We didn't use them. It doesn't matter. You have to pay it. And I just used my system and I'd go for the individual instead of the city of which or whatever, like,
Yeah.
because go for the person
Yep.
and they back off. When you hit 50 in Ireland, you're able to cash in your pension. Most people 65 or whatever, but I said I don't trust the pension. Every year they're
No.
telling me if it's going to go up 8%, it'll be worth this. If it goes up 6%, it'll be worth this. And the next year's the exact same amount, and they're telling me the
Exactly.
same information, and I'm like, nah, I don't want this. So. And the only reason I had the pension, I never put anything into it. I had full contribution from the companies, and then I had a
Yeah.
bond as well for something else. So you're allowed to get 25% tax free, and they taxed the other at 50%, both the bond and the pension. And with the knowledge that I got the check from the revenue transferred to my account, every penny.
Yeah.
And not one solicitor or accountant would be able to do that. Even the solicitor, like the accountant here, because I was getting some documentation, he was like, yeah, you're wasting your time. And it's like, sometimes people think I have to give this. This is just the way it is, or I have to pay this tax, or I have to do this. If you look at what they're doing with the money, armaments, war, like even the coffee, because I remember going, what's the story with the coffee here? It's like everything doubled.
Yeah.
And then a friend of mine, he said they all meet. He was in that industry. They all meet around April and they decide what the prices are going to be. Every market is controlled. And it's like, okay, so if I look at all these government officials and they're all scum of the earth, they're all doing things
Yeah.
looking after, it's like, no, I'm not giving away. I'm in control of everything myself. And it's like there's UCC, there's common law, there's natural law, and my show. is going to, because I've had a lot of guests on it, so it's combined just with that. Because, for example, on the awakening, I might talk about the jab, I might talk about chemtrails.
Yeah.
People, if they don't get that, they'll think you're a nut job or they'll switch off. And I just want to keep this specific to that. But
Right.
if people start looking at it and then study, I've read over 20 books, I've done courses,
Yeah.
you realize the power that we've got. And I'm still learning. I'm still kind of, but I've surrounded myself with different people in different countries. And it's like they don't have the right to put their hand in your pocket
Right.
and do what they want with it. And they also don't have the right to be telling you, like, for example, with your car, you have to register your car. There's all trickery. You don't even own the car. It's everything is trickery. The same with the house, the land, everything is
Property
trickery.
taxes, all of it. Yeah, it's a scam.
It's like what you pay, like in Ireland, you were paying stamp duty. So you're paying a tax when you bought the house,
Yep.
and then you have to pay every year. It's like, but there's ways around it. And it's like, what I want is instead of going, pay me so much, and you go away and you learn it because nobody's doing that because they're afraid somebody does it wrong and then they'll sue the person.
Yeah.
But what the way to, I believe, like, say, call it the free man, the free person, the sovereignty is when you know it yourself. And what I'm doing is I'm just giving them different things, like parking, all different things. There's one guy that I bring on monthly, and he's got an AI now. And if you use AI lies a lot. And it's like people, they just start playing it on their TikTok and all the different, hey, AI said this as if it's gospel. It is not gospel. It lies.
So,
And it but what this guy has done, he's spent a lot of money. He's learned under your man Wozniak, Steve Wozniak as well, and he went to the States. He's created an AI that's only with the information that's fed it from because you've got Black Laws Dictionary, you've got all these different things that laws are made of. So people just feed this in, and so currently it's on the parking one, but I'm kind of like, hey, we need to do this on the mortgages and everything,
yeah.
and like people think, oh, the world is doom and gloom. And it's like it's just this is so powerful. And like what I've noticed is with everything I've done, they always go sign that. The time with the rubbish, they called me in and you good cop, bad cop. One was screaming at me, the other's trying to be my friend. Sign that, and I said no, and I got up and walked out. And the same with, when they were locked on, wear a mask. I wouldn't do it. Like
Nope.
everybody was. And I was walking out of the supermarket with my son with a trolley, and two cops came straight for me. And they went to the sign desk. They started screaming at me, but in Polish. And I mean, they speak Polish, but I just talked to them. I said, are you talking to me? And they just went like that. And they went masked. And I went, oh, yeah, I didn't put it on. And I just walked out. And
Yeah.
it was like, I was showing that to my son as well. Like he's next to me going, what? And I have screamed at judges, I've screamed at police officers when they are abusing their power. And you know what happens? Instead of them going, hey, you're in contempt, they do. They put their head down because they
Wow.
know they're wrong. And
Yeah.
you have to understand your power and
Yeah.
don't tolerate it, even if you see it happening to somebody else, that protect each other. And that way, the scum will just go down the sewer pipe where they belong.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of Americans would love to be resourced on your sovereignty podcast because I think we're all tired of it. We are tired. I think no matter how bad corruption is anywhere else, I think the United States has the most greedy leadership I've ever seen. So yeah, the taxes on taxes on taxes is highway robbery. So I love that. I want you guys to get resourced, okay? Because we do have the power. I do have one more question for you. If someone is listening to this right now who's in the middle of their worst chapter, not approaching it, but they're like in it right now, what do you say to that person today?
Get up, go out for a walk on your own. Don't have your technology. Be one with nature. Look at the grass, look at the bees, look at the butterflies, look at the birds. Start connecting with nature. You start slowing down because what you find is sometimes when everything is going bad and then you get a little win and you go on a holiday, you get so creative and you go and you get out of it because when you're deep in it, you're just digging deeper and you're not getting away. So you have to, you might think this is the worst. I have to work 18 hours. I have to do this. I have to do that. When you are deep in it, that's the time you step away, go fishing, play golf, whatever, play music, start painting, find something that brings calmness to you, meditate, do breath work. When you do that, you start relaxing, your creativity will kick in, and then you get that brainwave and you go, "Ooh, I just need to do this." And it can change everything overnight. But don't keep fighting because just look at the last month, the last year, did it make any difference? So you have to change. And by doing that, you'll change your life.
Yeah. I love that. Is there a place we can send that you can send the listeners to right now? Where do you think they need to go to get resourced with you in this moment? And everything's in the show notes, you guys. You could check that out.
So it's roycoughlan.com. So if they're just listening, that's ROYCOUGHLAN.com. If they're watching the video, there's a QR code. You'll see all my shows, my virtual assistants, everything I'm doing.
Perfect. That's amazing. So, Roy, I'm super glad that you came and sat in the hot seat today. I think your story is incredible. And I'm going to say the thing that I really see that makes you special is not just that you didn't call it quits when you were at rock bottom, but that you rebuilt and still continue to become more of who you were. And your passion right now for the projects that you have is completely tangible. And I think that's incredible that you never became a victim. You never, dropped the fight. You're in it. And I mean, I know I could tell my audience. I mean, your energy is tangible. So I'm excited for people to get resourced with you. I think the work that you're doing is incredible. I wish you all the best for these things, you guys. Everyone listening right now, I need you to sit with the stories that Roy just shared because his story is not the exception. This is another story that is proof. The proof that the hardest season of your life is not the end of your story. It might actually be the beginning of the most important part. So that mess that you're in, that's your message. That thing that you're ashamed of, that failure you haven't told anybody about. The season where you lost more than you thought you could survive. I am telling you, somebody is waiting for you to open your mouth and tell the truth about it because your truth is their lifeline. So stop sitting on it. Go find Roy, get resource, check out the Podfather podcast and his school community. The links are in the show notes. And then ask yourself what you've been waiting for. Thanks again, Roy, and I'll see you guys in the arena.
And just before they leave you, what I would say is if they could go into Spotify, three dots, give you a 5 star, go into Apple, scroll
Yeah,
down, give you a 5 star, a review, and if they're on a video channel, a thumbs up and a comment, and perhaps share with three friends because what you're doing is incredible. You're going deep. I've listened to some of your episodes. That's how we make change. Better to share this stuff than the silly stuff. So if you're enjoying this, please do that.
I appreciate you so much. We'll see you guys later.